Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
Here with Lou and I today is Mike Scott. Mike is the founder of Parents Coaching Parents, which is a community-based program designed to assist parents and student athletes in their pursuit of an athletic scholarship as they prepare for college life. And yes, I'm sure you might have recognized the name Mike, as he is the elder Scott and father of the NBA Philadelphia 76ers, Mike Scott. Hello, Mike, and welcome to Earrings Off.
Welcome. Hey, hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing just great. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here.
Absolutely.
So first, start out by telling us about what was the impetus for Parents Coaching Parents? How did you come up with the idea, and how did that all get started?
Well, Parents Coaching Parents started back in 2007. So I've been around for a little minute or so, but what really pushed me over the edge and said, hey, something here is missing, is I was talking to a school official. And during the time Mike was going through the recruiting process, I was speaking with the school official, and I asked them, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to know about recruiting and the NCAA requirements and all the other various things that go along with it? And he said, well, Mr. Scott, what I'll sit down and connect you with somebody so that, you'll learn what you need to do and you'll be able to help Mike move forward. And I said, well, that sounds like a great thing. How about all the parents that's on the team? How about all the parents that's, having the fall season or the winter season or the spring season, the JV and varsity parents? I said, because there's other kids out there and other parents out there that probably have the same questions that I have. So this individual at the time told me, no, well, everybody's child is not going to be able to go to the same level that your son's going to be able to go to. And that was frustrating to me because that wasn't your decision. That was something that needed to be shared with all the parents, and whether or not their child made it to Division I level, Division II level, junior college level, NAIA level, whatever, they still need this information. So when he made that statement, it was frustrating to me. So I said, okay, as I learn, I will start to share this information with other parents.
Right.
And I just went on from there.
Yeah.
As I learned, I shared the information and tried to keep it going for the last 13 years.
Wow.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That you did that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Mike, as you're talking about, athletics and what they assess with regard to your son, that makes me think about even academically in the school system, how people are making an assessment that child A should be given opportunities and child B is not even worthy of sitting in the classes, of getting that information, because the assessment has already been made that they're not going to go to college and that they're not going to do well academically. And so, wow, that happens across the board. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the academic piece. So how important is academics in the life of an athlete? What advice do you give parents regarding academics?
Well, I'll put it like this, and if I get carried away telling a few stories, then that's just been my learning experience.
Yeah.
Academics is very important. A number one on the top of the list, high at the top of the list. Matter of fact, it is the top of the list thing that every parent need to put first and foremost. And in telling another story, Mike didn't actually play high school basketball until the end of his sophomore year and his junior and senior year.
Wow.
And when I say the end of his sophomore year, yes, the end of his sophomore year, it was like 2 games. And that's because that was the end of the first semester, and he had maintained the grades that I wanted him to maintain. So I said, okay, now you can play.
Mm-hmm.
We had this conversation at the beginning of his freshman year, and he asked me, could he initially play volleyball? And I said, yeah. I said, as long as you maintain your grades. But what happened one day, the volleyball coach sent a note home saying, hey, Mr. Scott, Mike is not feeling anything, but he now, we're going to have the requirement for him to go to study hall to keep him focused. I said, well, I flipped the note over. I put on the back of the note, coach, no, Mike will not be going to study hall. Mike will be coming home. If and when he gets his grades back up to where I want to see him, then maybe he can rejoin the team. Gave the note back to Mike. Mike took it back to the coach, and that was the end of volleyball. We moved on from that to later on that year, basketball came around, basketball trials came around, and again, he wasn't feeling anything, but the grades wasn't maintaining where I needed them to maintain at. And so I took him to the school the night of tryouts, and I said, okay, go in there, tell the coach, if you can maintain your grades for the next couple weeks, ask him, can you come out and try out? Or, do whatever you need to do to get on the team. I took him to the school, dropped him off that day. He went in the building. I didn't walk in there with him. I gave him a chance to do it on his own. He walked in the building, came back out, got in the car. I said, did you talk to the coach? Yeah, I did. I said, what did he say? He ain't say nothing. I said, okay. So I don't know if he talked to him or not to this day, and I ain't worried about it. So we went on our merry way. So grades is very important. And if you're not able to maintain those grades, then your child should not be playing. Don't get sidetracked and deceived by some of these people that's out here that's gonna tell you, oh no, his skills are gonna take you there, or his talent will outweigh any of them school books. And that's the guys that's telling you that because they still on the sideline watching other children play, or they had that big dream and now they're trying to live it through somebody else. So grades are very, very, very important.
Well, you mentioned about the sideline coaches saying, the talent will take you there. Have you seen that case where there might have been a high school level maybe student who was very good and very promising, but couldn't actually get into college because of the grades?
Oh.
Has it got to that point?
If I keep coming out with all these stories.
No, you're fine.
But yes.
Yeah, this is great.
Yes.
No, because
yes.
The stories make it real. So please share.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. That's an ongoing thing. And especially in the African American community. That is an ongoing thing. There are several athletes out here that have missed the opportunity due to lack of grade and folks not guiding them in the right direction. I knew a young man that played with Mike at the recreational level that later on never had a chance to play at the school level. Every time I would see him, I watched him doing the recreational level. I would say, hey, I'm waiting to see you when you get to, when you start playing in school. And he would look at me, he would put his head down, almost like he knew what was going on. And finally it came time for him to play at the middle school level. And I go out there and I look and I see he's sitting in the stands. And I'm like, okay, I thought you were on the team. I know that you would have made the team. Did you get cut? What happened? Or did you get suspended, or did something happen? And he wouldn't say anything. He would kind of like get up and move away from me. I find out later on that due to lack of grades, he missed the opportunity. But this plagued that young man for not only 3 years in middle school, but also 4 years in high school.
Wow.
Mhm.
So for 7 years, whoever was guiding him or lack of thereof was giving this young man the wrong information because he would go out every year and play on a AAU team
Mhm.
because some coach would take him out and they'd be traveling all weekend long.
Mhm.
Another real quick one. I watched a young man, again, due to the grade situation, every year, he was the starting quarterback and starting point guard for the high school team every year. But at the end of the first semester, when that first semester grades came out and that report card hit, all of a sudden, I see him back on the bench or in the bleachers.
Mhm.
Again, for every year, for 4 years in high school, he was the starting quarterback and starting point guard for the high school team. So the talent was
Mhm.
there. It's
Right.
just that folks that was guiding him,
Right.
you know, didn't put things in right order or something, or
Right. Right.
somebody was guiding him for
Yeah.
their own personal benefit.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. Um, yeah. And you know what? When you shared that story, I remember my husband and I went to University of South Carolina, Gamecock, and when I was in college, the top player on the football team was George. I can't remember his name. He won the Heisman. It was all the hype in South Carolina. And so we knew he was going to, go pro. But he at that time he just didn't have the framework for support. I think to even help him do well at the next level. I don't think he had the support at home. And then I think quite frankly, I think some people that were close to him got a personal interest in him going to the next level in the NFL. They weren't giving him the right advice. And I think that really had an impact on his professional career. I look at that years later, and I think that's what happened. Just not getting the support that he needed. So people get their own agendas with these players, and if you don't have people around you that you can trust and have your best interest, I think it's hard. So that
You,
but okay, go on.
what's really interesting about that, Lou, is what those guys think later on in life. I
Mm-hmm.
could have made it,
Yeah.
Right.
and do they still have them people in their life giving them advice?
Right. And that's really something, because with these athletes, everybody wants to latch on. They really do. So, but now, Mike, other than grades, what other factors have you seen negatively impact the players' success at the college level? Other than the academics, what else can negatively impact them? What else might be a challenge for them?
Well, one of the challenges that I seen, and it's still ongoing. I think something really and truly needs to be done about it. These kids aren't taught how to survive in society after they're finished playing. You know,
Uh,
if you're not that young man that some professional team is looking at you, whether or not it's overseas or whether or not it's the NBA, whether or not it's the NFL, Major League Baseball, whatever. If some professional team wasn't looking at, but you were a pretty decent player or a pretty good player because you're on a college team,
Right.
what do you do after that? Have the institution allowed you to socialize with folks that's in corporate America that can help you sustain and move on from there? What growth potential, do you have? Do you even established a network of folks that can help you out or folks that can advise you? You know, they talk about, well, we want to keep you away from the boosters, or we want to keep you away from this person and that person. But at the same time, those are some of the individuals you may be asking for a job later on.
That's right. That's right.
So if you haven't established some type of relationship
That's
with,
right.
or
Yeah.
they don't know really and truly know your character other than you being able to bounce a ball, throw a ball, catch a ball, kick a
Right.
ball, whatever,
Right.
then what?
Yeah.
You know, are they going to run a risk on you? Yeah, they'll give you a job probably as a used car salesman, you know, so you can be the big face that's standing there, and we can advertise you as, you know, he put up 2,745 points, and now he's trying to sell for us 2,700 for us, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, make some kind of deal out of it, and you become a marketing piece.
With that, are you talking about that in Parents Coaching Parents? Do you help prepare them for that after college experience?
I'm talking about that all the time, from Parents Coaching Parents, you know, to the book that I'm working on. I'm trying to make sure that all that really and truly comes together at some point in time. Even with you know, the things that I'm doing in the community, that's still my priority conversation, to ensure that folks understand that what happens after the game is over.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know?
So is that, I didn't read that in your bio. So is that book deal, is that breaking news? Are you breaking news on our show?
Yay!
Well, I'm putting it out there. I'm letting you know. Yes, there is a book in the works that will probably, hopefully, will be out this year. Yes.
Okay. Oh, good stuff.
Awesome. You have to let us know, and we'll definitely talk about it. And we'll have you come back on again.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
No problem.
So now, Mike. Okay, I watch Ballers on HBO. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but you know they're talking about the whole NFL culture, but a piece of it is that they're showing you snippets about college players being recruited and that whole process. So, you know, and I know that's fictional, but I watch that. I watch the HBO series, you know, the football players, all of that. So, but what should parents be paying attention to when the recruiters come calling? What are some of the red flags with the recruiters? Because everybody's telling you at that point, your child is great, you know, and they want it. But you have to, of course, remember that the recruiters are looking out for the school. So who's looking out for that star athlete? What are some of the red flags? Because, you know, just as your example that you just talked about, even when they get to the next level, they're being kept away from boosters and people who might share some information that could benefit them later. But on the other hand, also, everywhere they go, they're a very big deal. That's like a rock star coming through, the star athlete. So, I mean, what can people be paying attention to when everybody's telling you, I want this kid and he's great? So, how are parents to navigate those waters?
Well, I would start out by saying this red flag is probably about the size of the state of Virginia.
wow.
And when I say that, I mean all 152 colleges that's in the state of Virginia are 52 or 60 or 61. I think it's 161. But anyway, the number of colleges that's here in the state of Virginia, that's the size of that red flag.
Wow.
I say that because if we look at and think about it, even before you get to the college level, you're thinking about the young men going from high school trying to get to college, because those recruiters have the same mindset of, you know, the NFL guys and the NBA guys and those folks. They're a little bit more less hands off. But let me say this about the college level recruiters. What we as parents have to remember, that they are professional salesmen. They take courses and oftentimes have some type of certification or maybe even a degree in marketing and sales.
Wow.
I didn't even think about that.
This is real for them.
Yeah, that's right.
And the one that comes in the door that has mastered that art of sales,
right.
hey, he or she is going to be the star child on the team, because they can talk to any parent and talk to any kid and draw them in.
Wow.
I got to go back to another story.
Okay.
Another story. we was on an unofficial visit, and unofficial visit where we paid for the trip, but locally it was just right there in Richmond. And as we were walking around the campus with the head coach, the assistant coach, and well, two assistant coaches, we were heading to see the chancellor. And as we were walking towards the chancellor's house, because he was waiting to see us, we were walking towards the chancellor's house from the coach's office. The two assistant coaches was walking up front with me. They were talking to me, or they were talking, and I was walking up front with them. I say they were talking, and I was just walking up front with them because my conversation in my ear was back there where the head coach was talking to my son.
All right.
You know, as we like to say sometimes, I was ear hustling. And I'm trying to hear about what is this guy talking to my son about.
Right.
And he was talking to him about everything except academics. He talked about the truck that he got and what's the best kind of rims he think he should have on there, what size he should put on there. Asked my son, what did he think about the somebody's video that just dropped? You know, when the next pair of Jordans is coming out, because you know their team wear the Jordans and everything else but academics. We gonna check on your class. You got a curfew. There ain't no hanging out at night. You know, this what your playing time may even look like. You know, if you do the right thing. Everything else but these things I just mentioned.
Wow.
So, you know, we as parents have to be savvy enough to know how and when to intervene to keep our kids focused. You know, one thing that Mike and I did during the time of his recruiting process, because I know that the recruiting process is predatory.
Yeah.
You know, the coaches are predators.
Yeah.
They're out there trying to find, you know, the next best thing that they can get to come along that can help them keep some W's over here in the left-hand column and keep them L's out of the right-hand column. Yeah. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it at all costs. So during the time that we were going through that process, and I say we were going through the process, although he was the one that's going to attend school, but we were going through the process because it's a family thing.
Of course.
So during that time, anytime he would attend an event and they would collect information, he would always give out my phone number. So any coach that called looking to try to talk to him or sending him some crazy text message, it would come to my phone. I would screen it. I would let him know that Coach so-and-so called or checked in with you or whatever, what you want to do. He said, okay, I'll talk to him. If he shook his head no, then guess what? Guess who won't be talking to my son that day? You know? And oftentimes when the phone ring and I answer the phone and I'll say, hey, how you doing, Coach? And he could be in his room, you know, at the house. He'll come and stand in my doorway if I'm in, you know, if I'm in my room or if I'm downstairs. He'll come downstairs. He'll look over the rail of the stairs, and I'll say, hey, how you doing, Coach? And then I'll mention the coach's name. And once I mention the coach's name, I'll get a nod. Yeah, Mike is here. Or I'll get a shake my head. No, I don't want to talk to him. That's the way we played the game. They played the game with us. We played the game back.
But see, that I think, and I don't want us to gloss over this because this is so important for parents to remember. At the end of the day, people are recruiting, but that's your child because you're going to have to deal with the aftermath of this athlete years from now. These people are only in their lives, but for a period. But this is your child that you then are going to have in your life, and you and your family are going to be dealing with that. So I think that's very important to say that parents have to maintain control of this process because these recruiters are looking out for the wins and losses at the end of the day. That's it.
Well,
but
you know,
but
go ahead, Teresa.
but unfortunately, some parents live through their children,
Yeah.
and that's a problem too. And their eyes are glossed over when they hear about the Jordans and the trucks and the wheels and all of that, and that's a
Yeah.
problem too.
Preach,
So
Yes.
Teresa. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's unfortunate because all they're thinking about is the moment. They're thinking about the moment. They're not thinking about the college career and what happens after college is over, because they're thinking, hey, my
Well,
child is going to play in the NFL or the NBA
well,
or the baseball league. I don't know what that
yeah.
acronym is.
But the nasty piece of
MLB.
this is, yeah, the nasty
Thank you.
piece of this is that the child then becomes the savior in the family.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, and
and
that's
that's where
unfortunate.
things get twisted, that they then begin to let the child lead and make decisions when they're not ready to make those level of decisions independently. So yeah, that's really that's something very
Well, that's why I often say we have to be there to provide that guidance.
yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that we need to take over the recruiting
right,
process or
right,
control the
right,
process
right,
or be that buffer to make
right,
sure that you keep them focused on the path that they want to go down. You
right,
know, ultimately, Mike made the decision on what school he wanted to go to because he ended up going to the University of Virginia, but
yeah,
that wasn't the school that if I had to make the choice, he would have went to Wake
right,
Forest.
right,
That's just my personal opinion.
hmm,
Um, but he ended up going where he wanted to go. So
right,
I told him, hey, at the end of the day, I'm going to support you either way. Wherever you want to go, I'm still here to support you.
hmm,
You know, I often tell parents that we must be our child's biggest advocate.
right, right,
At the same
mm,
time, we must be our child's very first agent. Being an
yeah,
agent
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
right,
you know, we're their spokesperson, but at the same time, they have an input, a heavy input on what direction we're going to go. Agent
right,
ain't making no decision without his person that employed him to be there to help out.
yeah. So, but if your child really wants to play at the college level, but you as the parent don't believe that they maybe have the athletic ability, what advice would you offer to such parents? I mean, have you ever seen that?
I've seen I've seen that one as well.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna hold off on that story on that one, cause that becomes a little personal. But I'm
Okay.
gonna hold off. But yeah, I've seen that one as well. But one thing I tell parents all the time, and I tell them to share this with their kids. I say, look at whatever school that your kid says he or she want to go to. Say, for example, if I had a son and he kept telling me, Dad, I want to go to University of North Carolina. I'll just throw that out there. I want to go to University of North Carolina. I think I can make the basketball team. I think I can make the basketball team. I say, okay, what I want you to do, I want you to look at the University of North Carolina's team. And whatever position you play, I want
Hmm.
you to find yourself on that roster.
All righty. That's solid advice.
If you're 5 feet 10,
Hmm.
160 pounds, and you don't see nobody on that roster
That's
at
solid.
5 feet 10, 160 pounds, playing the position of a guard or a forward or a center, then guess what? The possibility of you going and playing with that coach is very slim. I can't say slim to none because there's always that wild card,
Right.
but it's very slim. So you must be able to see, first of all, first and foremost, see yourself on that roster. Secondly, you got to be able to look and see what they're doing. And if you're not able to do that at full speed, game speed, however you want to call it, if you're not able to do that, then again, you got to take yourself off that roster.
Well, I have to
yeah,
tell you that is good information because I tell you, we in our family we watch sports. You know, we watch the games together. When our son, I have one son, was growing up, and he loved sports, loved basketball particularly, played soccer, and wanted to play, and got cut from the team, didn't make the team. And I had to have a hard conversation with him in middle school to say, you know what, that may not be your thing, but you're going to have to accept that. And let's see what the academics will do. And I'm thankful he's now a successful lawyer. I had to gently tell him, kid, that's just not your thing. I know that's your dream. Let's get another dream. And so I think you have to, as parents, say that to your child. And that's a hard conversation when they got all of these stars that they want to be like, So yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah.
Yeah, and to add to that, our nephew, who was a very good high school basketball player and a very smart student, recruited for basketball, but decided for college, but decided that he didn't want to pursue it that way. He wanted to go with the academic side of it versus the athletic scholarship. And consequently, that led him down a really tough road because he didn't get the academic scholarship, that he wasn't getting offered the same dollars for the academic side that he was for the athletic side. And for me, that was kind of hard in that, why not? You're a good basketball player. You're getting this athletic scholarship. Why not use that to get your education? Because ultimately he was not really, I don't think he was interested in being an NBA player, but use that to get your education. Is there anything wrong with that approach?
Well, I would have doubled up. I would have took both their money. I would have took their money on both ends. Because you do have, and coaches don't tell you this, and they try to hide that from you. Again, like I said, they're used car salesmen. They could sell you the dough out of a biscuit without breaking the crust, and that's just the way they are. But what they don't tell you is you have what is called a stackable scholarship.
Okay.
And a stackable scholarship is where you can get athletic money, and on top of that, you can get academic money.
Wow.
But they don't tell you that
didn't know
because they
that.
try to force you out and push you towards the academic money so they can get that athletic money to somebody else.
Wow.
They play that 2-for-1. They ain't gonna tell you that. They salesmen. They gonna maximize their efforts.
Like that is
coaching process is needed.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right. You have some very good information for people. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Wow, I didn't know such a thing existed.
And
wish we had known that back in the day.
I just want to commend you for, before I go to the next question, for caring enough. You could have just said, listen, I'm just all about my son. I'm getting this information, but to care enough to share with others, because sometimes you get into that crab mentality. People don't want you to have what they have, and people don't want you to do well. But for you to have the foresight to say, you know what, no, whatever you tell me, I learn, I'm going to share for the greater good. So seriously, all jokes aside, you ought to be commended for that. So thank you.
Because I've already taken my earrings off.
All right.
All right now.
That I'm serious. And that's what we need to be doing. It's not just about us. It's for the greater good. And so you'd be applauded. But I wanted to ask you now about, we're in the middle of this still in this pandemic, COVID-19. And, the NBA was able to continue their resume their season by creating the bubble. And we got to the championship, of course, where the Lakers were crowned. And we see the NFL progressing in their season. They've had a few COVID cases pop up where they've had to cancel games, but, still they're doing a nice job too. But I was just wondering, what impact has COVID-19 had on athletic programs? When I think about the conditioning of athletes and the fact that they're limiting certain things that they can do, what impact has the virus had on athletics at this point?
Well, I think it has had a huge impact on athletics because the decision makers have been exposed. And I say that because
Mm-hmm.
the ones that's in it for the money
Yeah.
wanted to keep athletics going. The
Yeah.
ones that's in it for the overall welfare, health, and care of our children, whether or not they're at the high school, college, or professional level, if they're looking at it from a standpoint of looking out for our children, they would have postponed it.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
they're in it for the money, then hey, let's keep it going. So that's a huge impact. First and foremost, I know that this pandemic has had on athletics.
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right because I was watching I think last Saturday, watching a little bit of Alabama SEC some team, and the stands were packed. And I was thinking, okay, so not only are you doing the game, but you got all of these people here. So, yeah, it is. The covers have been pulled off on how we all know that at the end of the day, it's about that money in a lot of these organizations. So, when I saw that and even looking across the landscape at different programs, I was just wondering about that because we're still in it and we're going to
Yeah.
continue to try to grapple with that. Yeah, yeah.
So when you're having conversations with the parents, at parents coaching parents, how often are the kids involved?
When I have the conversation, I have the parents invite their kids or bring their kids. Um,
Okay.
because kids need to hear what I'm sharing.
Yeah.
And once they hear it, and now they know that their parents hear it and their parents understand it, now it helps foster a stronger bond between the two. And that's one of the
Hmm.
main goals that I push for with parents, coaching parents, to ensure that the parents know what's going on and what you're going through as an athlete and help build that bond, a stronger bond. So you can't say, well, your child's out there, got practice. Well, I got tour days today, Dad, and you don't know what he talking about. You
Mm-hmm.
think he got tour, I don't know, he don't even know what tour days is. But
Mm.
if he's having
Mm.
that
Yeah.
conversation, you understand what he's talking about. Now you know he got two practices today.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Mm.
gonna need to be at
Yeah.
both of them.
Right.
Or,
Right.
something like that. So it helps strengthen that bond. So I
Okay.
encourage parents to bring their kids to the various workshops.
Mm. Okay.
Right. So my daughter runs she runs track, and
Yes,
I had
I know
I
well.
had the opportunity I had the opportunity, of course, to sit through many a AAU track event. And with the AAU track sports, I mean, they come at all ages. I mean, even the little, I mean, 2 and 3 years old, they appear to be out there running. And I've seen
Wow.
some very skilled, like 5 and 8 year olds. At what age do you start talking to? What age do you recommend parents to start like joining a network like Parents Coaching Parents?
If you see me laughing during the time that you were saying all that, um, I have to be guilty of some of that and your daughter getting involved with track. Uh, because my guy brought her out to my track meet one time. We was out at one of the high schools in Chesterfield. And
Mm-hmm.
he brought her out there that day, and he seen all the kids out there, and I knew he had a track background, and he had some wheels on him back in the day, and so my exposure at that time was to say, hey, I wanted
Wow.
him to get a team started in that area,
Mm-hmm.
um, really,
Mm,
but I started talking to parents as soon as they start listening.
Mm.
okay.
And that means if it's at the ages of 4, 5, and 6, because see what has happened in this predatory world right now. Now you even have high school coaches and middle school coaches trying to take on the role as recruiters. When have
Yeah.
we started recruiting for middle school? But
Right.
I've seen where I've had coaches come to kids that I know and talk to the parents and say, "Hey, um, bring your daughter over here to this middle school next year because these other two girls are already here, and I know they could win a city championship. A city championship?
Mm.
Are
Yeah.
we doing that undermining stuff for a city championship?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
we really doing?"
Wow.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
start talking to parents as soon as they start listening. And if that's at the age of 6 and 7, 8 and 9, 10 or 11, hey, the conversation's on.
Yeah.
Parents,
Yeah.
coach, and parents is here
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So now, Mike, what are some of the common mistakes that parents may make when it comes to their college-bound athletic students?
Well, one of the first and foremost common mistakes I see that they make is they all of a sudden take on this term called student athletes. I know that everybody is academically driven and they like that term, student athletes. And society has tried to convince us that that is the term that we should be using because they'll quick to tell you that they are students first. But let me say this: I prefer, and I say it and use it all the time doing the Parents Go to Parents Network, and I try to get other parents to use the same term, child athletes, because they are children first.
All right.
See,
Yeah.
that student athlete thing is a misnomer. We think it means that they are students first and they're focused on academics first. If that's the case, then why a number of colleges had such low graduation rates if they were students
See?
first? See, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding. The whistle is
Yep.
blown, the covers are pulled back.
Yeah.
No, they're students first so that I can label them as students. So now I don't have to label them as employees. And now they can't get no workman's compensation in the event that they get hurt.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a
Preach.
term that was
Mhm.
created with the very first president of the NCAA because a young man
Mm.
had broke his neck during a game and he wanted some type of compensation for it. As a result, they start stressing the point, no, he's a student. He's
Uh
not an
huh.
employee.
Uh
He's a
huh.
student. So he can't get no kind of workman's comp. So as a result, he ended up having to cover the tab, him and his family on his own. Matter of fact, his younger
Mm.
brother ended up quitting his job to become a caretaker so he could
Ooh.
take care of his brother at home. I
Wow.
think it was like a few years later, after all that happened, the young man passed away. So so so
Mm.
to so to stress this point of student athletes, hopefully you're not drinking the Jim Jones Kool-Aid.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I wanna take the we're coming close to the end. I wanna take the focus back to you a little bit, Mike. First, I want you to share a little bit about the book that's
Yeah.
coming out this year, and
Yeah.
and then I want to say I want to say congratulations on your new radio show, and
Yeah.
I want you to share a little bit about that radio show.
Okay. Well, yes, the book will be coming out this year. I plan to get it out this year before we turn into 2021.
Okay.
Um, and it's a book that hopefully that'll make you think a little bit because I'm talking about quite a few of the things that I addressed this morning. And it's in the book and it's just coming out. I'm just going to drop it out there.
All
And
right.
I
Okay.
even titled the
Huh?
book, You Don't Know What You Don't Know, A
Okay.
Guide to College Recruiting.
Okay.
All right,
Because
I
I
like
think
it.
that's so
Nice
befitting.
title. Like the title. Love it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And that one of the things that triggered me to do the radio show because I had to figure out a way to start getting my message out to a bigger audience. And as it grows, I'm going to try to grow it right along with it. I've had some great folks on with me thus far. I started the radio show back in June. I had been doing a podcast 10 years prior to that. When I said, okay, it's time for me to go to another level and let's put this on the airway. So I've had the NCAA on with me. I've had Nancy Lieberman on with me.
Oh,
I had
wow.
Christy Pierce Rampone, who was the captain of the National Soccer League.
Soccer, yeah.
I've had Gilbert play for the San Diego Chargers. He's a Bart Starr Hall of Famer. I've had oh man, I've had the executive director for the National Federation of High Schools on with me.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I've had, of course, my son
Yeah.
and another young man, Don Curry, who just retired from the NFL, had played 10 years in the
Okay.
NFL.
Okay.
Majority of the time played with the Detroit Lions. And now he is a local city councilman. So he's retired, doing great things in the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And now he's in the community to do some real hard work or some real good work. So I've had him on with me. So I've had a great time with the show, and it's something that I see going just straight up. And maybe
Yeah.
one day the folks that I'm exposing a little bit may decide to say, hey, let's hear what he really got to say and bring
Yeah.
him on and the big networks.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to lean towards.
That-
You may see a television
Awesome.
show come up in the near future too. I don't know.
That's good too.
Awesome. Claim it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
That's
good
excellent.
stuff.
That's excellent. And we'll be looking out for the book. You don't know what you don't know. So
Exactly.
we're looking forward to that. Mike, there's one last question. Teresa didn't want me to ask it, but I put it on there. I put it on my thing anyway. So this is very serious, Mike. Okay. Who is the GOAT? Michael or LeBron? I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I'm just saying. Yeah, you don't have to answer that. I just had to throw that out. You know, Hakeem just came out with his thoughts up. Yeah, right. Yeah. No, Hakeem Olajuwon from the Rockets.
No. I said Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay, so you're throwing out somebody totally new. All right,
That's the GOAT.
That's the GOAT? Okay, all right.
He got more rings than both of them.
Okay, all right. You heard it from Mike Scott. It's correct.
Well, now can I really throw something out there on that?
Yeah.
You know, again, that's one of those situations that we fell into. It's a marketing thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing to keep those sneaker sales going. If we can keep that conversation going, that sports apparel will continue to grow and grow.
Mike, you need a show. I mean, you got to get on TV with this knowledge. I'm telling you. That's good stuff because it's all about marketing. And it is. They're hyping that up.
Yeah. As long as they can keep that going,
yeah.
they know they got something going with it.
Okay.
Because you can't realistically compare the two because they played in two different eras.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I tell you, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. And we just appreciate all the knowledge that you shared. And I tell you, I am going to be talking about this episode to all of my family and friends that we know who have child athletes that they need to be paying attention to. Well, we appreciate it. And we look forward to, again, to hearing more about your radio show.
If you're here in the Hampton Roads area, it comes on 92.5 and 104.9 FM. If you want to listen to it via live stream, you can catch it at www.praise1049.com. Praise1049.com.
Thank you so much, Mike.
I appreciate you allowing me to come on and just share some thoughts and some stories.